Most people know about Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. These are trillion-dollar companies that dominate headlines, shape technology, and influence culture. Yet, hidden behind these giants is another empire, far larger in reach and even more influential, one that rarely makes front-page news. This is the $7.9 trillion company you've probably never heard of. It doesn't sell you a phone. It doesn't put packages on your doorstep. And it doesn't put ads on your social media feed. Instead, it manages the wealth of nations, the pensions of workers, the investments of corporations, and the future of governments. That company is BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, quietly pulling the financial strings of the 21st century. To understand the sheer scale of BlackRock, we need to pause for perspective. $7.9 trillion under management is a number so large that the human mind struggles to grasp it. It is more money than the GDP of Japan, more than the total value of every company listed on the London Stock Exchange, more than the entire federal budget of the United States. It represents investments in stocks, bonds, real estate, and infrastructure projects in nearly every corner of the globe. This is money flowing through pension funds, retirement accounts, sovereign wealth funds, and corporate holdings. And though it is not technically BlackRock's money, the firm controls how it is invested, where it is directed, and what companies and governments benefit from it. In a very real sense, BlackRock acts as the steward of global capitalism. The company began with modest origins in 1988. When Larry Fink and a small team of finance experts set out to build an asset management firm that combined traditional investing with new forms of risk management, what set BlackRock apart early on was its focus on technology. Unlike older Wall Street firms, still relying on intuition and trading floors full of shouting brokers, BlackRock built its empire on a foundation of data. At the heart of its operations lies Aladdin, a risk analysis supercomputer system that processes more than 200 million calculations every week, analyzing trillions of dollars in assets. Aladdin doesn't just monitor BlackRock's holdings. Its software is licensed out to banks, corporations, and even rival asset managers. That means the system guiding BlackRock, as own trillion-dollar empire, is also helping to shape the financial decisions of its competitors. This creates a world where much of the global economy is being quietly navigated by a single digital brain. But what does it actually mean for a company to manage $7.9 trillion? It means BlackRock holds major stakes in nearly every big corporation you know. Coca-Cola, Apple, Microsoft, ExxonMobil, JP Morgan Chase, and hundreds more. In money cases, BlackRock is the top shareholder, sitting alongside Vanguard and State Street. This concentration of ownership has sparked concern among critics who argue that a handful of financial giants now have unprecedented influence over markets, competition, and even democracy. After all, if 3 or 4 firms own controlling stakes in the same companies, are those companies really competing with each other? Or are they quietly linked by the same financial overlords? For the average person, BlackRock remains invisible because its work is indirect. You don't buy a BlackRock product at the store. You don't see its logo on commercials. But if you contribute to a retirement fund, if your government invests in bonds, or if your company offers a pension, chances are BlackRock is somewhere in the chain. It manages the money behind the scenes, quietly collecting fees, and more importantly, shaping the flow of global capital. This behind-the-curtain role has made BlackRock incredibly powerful, while also allowing it to avoid much of the scrutiny faced by more visible corporations. Yet, BlackRock has not entirely escaped the spotlight. In the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, governments turned to BlackRock to help clean up toxic assets. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. Federal Reserve hired BlackRock to help manage emergency bond buying programs. In both cases, critics pointed out that the company was essentially being given the keys to the financial system, acting as a shadow arm of government while also managing private investments. The potential for conflicts of interest is staggering. Imagine being hired to decide which assets the government should support, while also investing in those same markets for private clients. To its critics, this is like letting the fox guard the henhouse. But perhaps the most fascinating part of BlackRock's story is how little the public seems to care. Unlike banks, which people interact with daily, or social media giants, which dominate cultural conversations, BlackRock's operations are abstract, distant, and technical. Its power is not in selling things, but in controlling flows of capital. And because most people don't see it, they don't question it. This invisibility may be its greatest strength. It operates as a kind of financial utility, necessary for the system to function, but rarely discussed outside of finance circles. Still, BlackRock has ambitions that go beyond numbers on a screen. In recent years, it has positioned itself as a leader in sustainable investing, pushing corporations to focus on climate change, renewable energy, and social governance. Larry Fink's annual letters to CEOs are read like PayPal decrees in the financial world, setting the tone for corporate priorities worldwide. When BlackRock speaks, boardrooms listen. And when BlackRock shifts trillions of dollars away from fossil fuels toward green energy, entire industries tremble. Whether you see this as a noble attempt to steer capitalism in a sustainable direction or as a cynical grab at political power, the effect is undeniable. A single company is using its financial muscle to reshape the world's priorities. Yet with great power comes great backlash. Politicians on both the left and right have targeted BlackRock. Progressives argue it is too big, too unaccountable, and too entangled with government to be trusted. Conservatives accuse it of pushing political agendas under the guise of investing, forcing companies to adopt climate-friendly policies, whether shareholders want them or not. Around the globe, BlackRock faces investigations, criticism, and in some cases, outright bans from managing certain government funds. And yet, despite this storm of controversy, its assets continue to grow. The money keeps flowing in, because for clients ranging from small pension funds to massive sovereign wealth funds, BlackRock's scale and technology are simply too useful to ignore. The story of BlackRock is ultimately a story about the hidden architecture of the modern world. We live in a time when a handful of companies can influence economies larger than nations, when algorithms and supercomputers decide the fate of entire industries, and when trillions of dollars move with the push of a button. It is a story about how power has shifted, not into the hands of kings or presidents, but into the hands of financial engineers and data systems, invisible to the everyday person, yet omnipresent in their lives. So, what does this mean for the future? If the last few decades have shown us anything, it is that financial power tends to concentrate, not disperse. As money pools into fewer and fewer firms, the question is whether society will demand more accountability, or whether these giants will continue to operate in the shadows. Will BlackRock and its peers be remembered as the guardians of global stability, managing wealth responsibly for millions of retirees and governments? Or will they be remembered as unaccountable leviathans, holding too much influence with too little transparency? One thing is certain. The next time you hear about the ups and downs of the stock market, the struggles of a corporation, or the policies of a government, remember that somewhere in the background, companies like BlackRock are quietly involved. They are the hidden hands guiding the flows of money, deciding where capital goes and where it doesn't. And in a world where money is power, that makes them among the most powerful institutions on earth. You may never walk into a BlackRock store, you may never see a BlackRock commercial, but whether you know it or not, the $7.9 trillion company you've never heard of is shaping your life in ways you cannot imagine.